Hi, everybody. I'm coming on so late. Fast. It is so fast. So much is happening. Good things, very good things are happening. So I just apologize for coming on so late. We're burning the midnight oil. I always try to come on around 10, and all of a sudden it's 12:30 because of calls and information coming in and fact checking. Making sure that our evidence and what we're hearing matches up, or if we need to look into evidence more, and calling people to get their professional opinions. And so, just time goes by because we want to do this right. Okay. The walls are crumbling in on the suspects, on the criminals, and we want to get this right. Um, because the evil it's just beyond our imagination. And we have to have accountability, true accountability. It cannot be tolerated. Hundreds of thousands of children trafficked on Fort Bliss at taxpayers' expenses. The insanity of the left uh, is just protecting criminals instead of getting to the bottom of this. And the reason why is because that media is paid for. They're funded. It's all about the funding, who's funding them, and they're just like, doing the job of the person that's paying them. And so it really, the billions and billions of dollars that have been made are being spent on this, right? Are being spent on protecting the evil, the criminals, those that traffic, those that will orchestrate a mass shooting and pay to cover it up, because all that costs money to pay to cover it up. It's favors, it's quid pro quo. They want something for it, and it really tells you the moral depravity that we're in. We are really in a very moral depraved time for the media and for law enforcement, that they would take quid pro quo, you know, or a honey trap. They would easily take a honey trap, um, or a mortgage deal, or a disability, an unlawful, corrupt disability benefits paycheck, um, or an appointment, right? An appointment to DA. Let's recess appointment Bill Hicks to the DA. I wonder why. I wonder why. And then he doesn't disclose that he is a lawyer for Purchase Funeral Homes. That is a transnational funeral home for Mexico, El Paso area, connected to the um, the narco body dumping ground, dead body dumping ground, um, that failed to cremate bodies, that they even charged people for, charged taxpayers for, got money, but didn't even do it, didn't do it. And this is the point that let's see, make sure that I'm on. I'm just talking away and I'm not even making sure that I'm on. There we go. Do it. Um, right, that so many of these contracts right now that we found out, and the work of Doge, right? The work of Doge was amazing. And I heard that Elon Musk is coming back. I mean, politics can be very emotional. It can be very volatile. And that's why, we're very, very happy to see Elon Musk come back, because, I mean, they were burning Teslas. Who was burning Teslas? I think it was AOC's sister was burning Teslas. I think she's been indicted for that now. I mean, thinking that it was a protest and burning Tesla. Can you imagine your life's work, getting ruined for this politics, right? They try to do that to President Trump. They did do it to President Trump. They um, did so much, and he withstood it. He withstood it, just like Richard. He withstood it for as long as he could. Yes, he was overwhelmed, and this is where our breaking news comes in. Just everything's coming together. But I wanted to go back to the Doge, that these contracts, uh, and the amazing work that Intel provides, right? There's so much information now that they can't really hide the truth from us. So they put in so much information that we're overwhelmed and we have to sort through it, or we just want to say forget it. But what Doge did is clarify, search through a lot of that information. And there were so many contracts for insane, insane contracts for really weird things, and then they weren't even fulfilled. They weren't even fulfilled. They would take the payment and they wouldn't even give what they said they would give. And this is with this crematorium, with this cremation. They had a working furnace, but they had it turned off since 2022. They just took the money and stacked the corpses up, the victims, their bodies, sacrilege against Corpus Christi, sacrilege against Corpus Christi. No, no, no. uh, Can you imagine no life? There's no life in these people if they have no respect for God, because God is life, right? God is life. And so they have no respect for anything if they are going to let bodies stack up, let rats go and eat through them, while charging the families and then filling these urns up with dust like mortar dust, and say that this is your loved one, and not turn on the furnaces. And then when they get caught, right? When they get caught, like in June, and they get arrested. A couple of them got arrested. That night, they turn on the furnace to start burning. And what were they burning? They were burning evidence. And we really feel that there is evidence is pointing that to that Richard's remains, at least partial remains, were there at this crematorium. And so the breaking news today, there's so much breaking news today, and I'm going to try to do this by memory because there's so much news. Is these very brave government officials, um, representatives. I'm not so familiar with the Mexican government, even though I'm getting more and more familiar with them, and being in communication with them. Um, they came out, these two women, very, very brave. When you come out against um, Sinaloa cartel main players, right? Governor Maru Campos, they're saying it's diarrhea Marulanda, right? Diarrhea Marulanda, because um, the investigations are going on now. The calling for the arrest of Rafael um, Curan is coming out now, and Aureliano, his name. I wish I need to practice it. I'll get it just like I got Kachurgas. Um, but I call him the corpse stacker, right? The owner of the crematorium, and because he doesn't deserve any good name, he really doesn't. He's a millionaire, and he can wear fancy suits and fancy watches and drive a fancy car and live in a fancy house, but he is just that. He's a corpse stacker, and he's sacrilege against Corpus Christi, and so he has spiraled downward and created a little hell on earth, right? That's what he's created, and God doesn't look kindly on that. I can, at least that's what God says. He's no buttercup, and he doesn't look kindly on that. And so, he does need to be arrested, and he doesn't need any kind words. He is what he is, and think about what he's done to families, and think about what uh, who's protecting him. Beto O'Rourke is protecting him. Maru Campos is protecting him. Where is the State Department? Is the State Department uh, is Foley protecting him? Right? General Counsel, right? Foley, is he protecting this corpse stacker, Raphael Coran? And Coran's mother lives in a very fancy house in El Paso, also, well, like $1 million house in the West Side. um, what's going on there? What are these businesses? Are they paying taxes? Are they following the rules? Because over in Mexico, he wasn't even licensed. He wasn't even licensed. He wasn't following the rules. It was the most disgusting. It was absolutely toxic to the whole city of Juarez and to the state of Chihuahua. And they didn't, they're protecting him. So this is the levels that they'll go to. And he was the one advertising, telling everyone, "Oh, put your mask on and everything." He has. That was all such a scam. It's all a scam, and you can tell, by their fruit. Um, and so it is really brave of these officials in Chihuahua, Mexico, and Juarez, Mexico, to call for a criminal investigation on Rafael. And I think that is and Mario Campos, right? The Sinaloa cartel. And I think the Sinaloa cartel is an FTO, right? Is an FTO. So this it's interesting how I don't know if Marco Rubio is going to have to come, or how that's all going to work, because this is all transnational, and absolutely President Trump is the man to do the job. He was talking today, just to give an example, his whole life experience, when you're a builder, and all the people that you have to communicate with, and all the laws you have to abide by, and uh, all of the politics that you have to go through when you're a builder, when you are a major builder across the world. And we're talking about, I was in Seoul, South Korea, and I saw, I think it's 5 Trump towers there. And then, of course, in Scotland, and he just opened up Aberdeen, his place in Aberdeen, Scotland. And of course, um, in Ireland, I know he has a golf course in Ireland, and of course, all the way through so many places and all over the United States. And what I'm telling you is, he has all this experience. And today, he was saying that he's going to renew all the grass in Washington, D.C., because the grass has life, and that life expired about 40 years ago. The grass is not good grass anymore. And in Washington, D.C., and he knows all about grass because of all his his golf courses. And so he's going to make the lawn beautiful again in Washington, D.C. He's going to beautify our capital city again. And that's just, he has to know. Um, uh, he said he probably knows more about lawn maintenance and grass and everything than anybody because of his golf course businesses. Um, it's just think about it. He knows about steel. He knows about glass. He knows about furnishing hotels with TVs and phones and you name it, decorations. And he knows about running a bar in a hotel and restaurants in a hotel and where to get the best beef. And I think he even one of his businesses is he has a cattle that he gets beef for his hotels. And so it's just running all of those business. I know he has water bottling business for his hotels, towels, everything, everything. And also hospitality and dealing with so many different people from all over the world. He is the most multicultural person. And you see that how he can deal with um, uh, President Putin and how he can deal with the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and then he can, just anybody he can show diplomacy with. It's just been amazing time, and in all of that, he has found the time 4 days after he took the oath to make sure that Richard was designated in the line of duty, that his death was in the line of duty, and then he uh, now recently sent us these two letters, and those letters have been analyzed and analyzed carefully, and he just sheds so. I mean, just pours out praise on Richard. And when you analyze the two letters and all the contents of the two letters with all of our excuse me, with all of our evidence, and then with people being given the green light then to even expose more to us, because there's been so much hidden that we've had to dig for and dig for. And now with these letters, with the green flag, because the letters are now for the National Archives, every smear, derogatory or other kind of narrative that was put out there about Richard has been utterly destroyed. We know that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty, that he was absolutely um, uh, reporting on criminal trafficking, and that he also knew something, the truth behind the Walmart mass shooting. This is the big news that has come out in the last like 48 hours. And we have said that his case is totally tied with the Walmart mass shooting. And now we know that he is the Walmart mass shooting whistleblower. Not only criminal trafficking, not only cartel related, cartel tied criminal trafficking, but that he absolutely knew the truth behind the Walmart mass shooting. And this is what was being reported on. This is why they being the chain of command, the um, 15 plus now 20, 22, 23 different agencies, that these leaders would spend millions and millions of dollars to retaliate again, to set out a plan, to conspire together, to coordinate together, to frame Richard, a stellar soldier, because it's very difficult to silence a stellar soldier, right? It's if you want to take his life, it's very difficult to do that to a stellar soldier, especially if you want to frame it as something that's not honorable. And so they had to conspire together to frame him, to honey trap him, to try to get him in a criminal act, to try to um, find a way that they could spread rumors about him, just discredit him a little bit enough that they could take out their attack dogs and smear him within the law enforcement community. Of course, that would be reported in the news, but it's the law enforcement community that they really wanted to do the most damage. Um, as our evidence absolutely corroborates. So, that's why you saw the guard mount spreading rumors about Richard that were unfounded, that were untrue, that were absolutely lies, that were lies to the MPs, and then you had Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe spread lies through CID Quantico Howell, absolutely spread lies about Richard, tamper with the files, um, whitewash the whistleblower, uh, uh, Judge Roger Rodriguez's whistleblowing, identifying the suspects, the prime suspects in the murder case of Richard Halliday, them not interviewing him, just whitewashing it, and you because they wanted a false narrative, a cover-up narrative, and with all of that, and I can tell you the retaliation that we have gotten, even at Christmas. Remember, at Christmas on the 26th of December, we were so attacked on that day, and what that led to. And I'm not at liberty to totally reveal all of that, but I can tell you this: that all of this retaliation, all of this threat, all of this cost of developing a false narrative and pushing that forward into the intelligence community and the law enforcement community costs millions of dollars, okay? Costs millions of dollars because people are not going to keep, especially with the media and everything like that, they want to be paid. They absolutely want to be paid. And that's why the people that did do the dirty job after they attempted unsuccessfully. It's kind of like the whole thing with the President Trump's case, um, except for they succeeded in taking Richard's life, but not his spirit, not his good character. And that is really haunting him. Richard Halliday is haunting them. Okay, so what they did is just try to discredit to take, well, they needed to silence him because they needed to make sure that the Walmart mass shooting would just go away. Because the Walmart mass shooting exposes, and I can tell you, a mutiny against President Trump, a mutiny against President Trump from the Pentagon. Absolutely, this involves the Pentagon and the narco politicians in El Paso, and also in Chihuahua, Mexico. So the cartel and the cartel. So this is a mutiny in alliance with these narco operatives, and they orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting. And many of those that died, it needs to be investigated further. But I can tell you this: that Alexander, the German national Alexander Gerhard Hoffman wrote, he's somebody, okay, and he's somebody, and he's connected to the cartel. And then the Maria Eugenia Lagarette, she's somebody too, and her husband, I think it was just months after, I have to get the exact date, he was also, he lost his life, right? That was a hit. This is a hit, a headshot. It's a close range headshot. We have the evidence of that. Of course, my husband is a PA. Of course, he has a lot of veteran buddies that know a lot about shooting, a lot about guns, and absolutely no way could Patrick Crucius have shot Maria. And we believe he could not have shot Alexander. So he admits to killing one or two people. Well, 23 were killed. Okay, 23 were killed. And so there's a lot of unanswered questions. Okay, I'm not saying he's innocent. He's not innocent, right? He participated in this along with his family, the Mayellas, along with, all of this criminal group. And so Richard, with Dallas Hart being part of this criminal group and being Richard's platoon leader. And then, of course, you have Jonathan Ambrose, Danae Katz's husband, who also is connected to 143 ADA, is part of this criminal group. Um, and then you have Nadal Baim, being the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, and Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado and the G3 of the 32nd AdCom and his connections. They are just red flag, red flag, red flag. So this is clearly Richard was in the proximity of Tavita Newsett, right? The CID, the dirty CID agent that had his badge terminated in 2021, the dirty agent Soto, Marlon Soto. And you saw Shaky Jake, and he was in the close proximity of Dallas Hart. That's all you need to know, and Leilani Hart. And their connections with the Walmart mass shooting. The Walmart mass shooting. So Richard absolutely knew what really happened in the Walmart mass shooting, and they couldn't risk it. Of course, they couldn't risk it with Glennon Oakley Jr., which shows you the extent that they would go to shut this down, right? They speak this big speak with the death penalty and going to trial and all of that, but they didn't have any intention of ever doing that. Okay, this was absolutely a cover up after an orchestration, and it showed it was a mutiny against President Trump to do a hypnosis on El Paso, on the El Pasoans against President Trump to affect the election, to sabotage his administration, to take him out of office, so that they could, what they did do when Biden took office, and that is put turbo force energy into their criminal trafficking and their military contracts and, grand theft larceny, grand theft larceny, and also break national security. So this is what they did, um, and that's just a little tip of the iceberg. Our evidence is a mountain of robust, hard evidence, and we have been very busy documenting it and submitting it. And now we have help. We have help. And you know how we know we have help? We have the letters, right? We have the letters, but we also have two very brave women today. Maybe it was three brave women today, um, that submitted the criminal complaint to the Mexican officials for requesting prosecution and also getting the names of the victims that they haven't tried to do yet. Okay, they don't want to get the names of the victims. I think we need to know the names of these over 400 victims. Okay, the government, the papers talk about 383 or 386 victims. It's way over 400 now. So, I'm sure all the families of these victims will want answers, just like we do. We want to know if any of those body and body parts belong to our son, Richard Halliday. And he was absolutely the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier, and also the one that knew uh, the truth behind what happened on August 3rd, 2019, the Walmart mass shooting. So this is huge, huge news. Yeah, at 1 o'clock in the morning. It is, there's no time to sleep. There's no time to sleep because the news is breaking all the time. You see the news just breaking, and we're keeping up with what's happening in Chihuahua, Mexico. And also now we see that Comey, so the FBI director is really on the precipice of being indicted. And that is when that comes through, then we absolutely know that we have full support to get accountability in our son's case. Now, the other way we also know is the extradition of the cartel leaders. And there's been a lot, 29 in February, 26 recently. A lot of, talking about over 50. I think they made a plea deal with El Mayo. So they absolutely gave him uh, too much. They probably gave him too much. But uh, for for national security, I mean, or to make this go a little faster, because the time is ticking, even for President Trump. The time is ticking, and it is very curious to see that El Mayo got such a good plea deal. But absolutely, he must have done a lot of talking too, but he got a lot. So um, I think that there's an agenda, and the agenda is to make America strong again, to make America great again, to make America safe again. That's the agenda that has been spoken over and over and over for 10 years from President Trump. And so his focus is on the United States and securing the borders, but also the infiltration into our system is vast. It's very vast, and he only has so much time to do as much cleaning up as he can to restrain the terrible evil that has been done to the United States. And another thing that's in the news is all of this about the Federal Reserve Bank. Because I'm a homeschool mom, and economics is an important subject to anybody. You need to know the economics of the world, right? Um, I learned about the Federal Reserve during that time, and I was shocked because we're never told about the Federal Reserve. It's not federal. Okay, it misleads the public by that name because it is not government. Okay, it is a private bank. Just they have that name. It's almost like being an imposter, right? They're pretending to be federal, but they're not. They are a private bank, and they control so much of our economy, right? Because they I don't want to say they control the debt, but they control how much interest we pay on our debt, which is a big one. And because they have that much power, they absolutely control so much more. They came into power in 1913. And, the taxes, the income tax came in 1913 too. So the two of them go together. So if the Fed goes, because of its corruption, which is very obvious now that they're totally corrupt, if the Fed goes, then so goes the income tax. Okay, the income tax goes too. It would really free up um, gosh, the whole world. I mean, it would just be, they are a big chain with a ball around our feet. They really are. They imprison us. And they're up to no good. And there's several books about it. So I would just recommend, fully recommend, learning about the con job of the Federal Reserve Bank. Our we have to learn who the real enemies are here, right? The real enemies. And so with that coming out in the news is very good news for Richard's case, because that means justice is getting popular, right? Justice is getting popular, and the more that justice is getting popular, the more that we have a very, very good chance of getting justice in Richard's case, getting accountability, and getting the answers to where his remains were stashed, right? Were stashed. Um, so that is uh, just the tip of the iceberg. But I will be back tomorrow, and know that the Walmart mass shooting, there's so many anomalies about that, and they never even attempted to set a trial date, much less a trial, and have a death penalty case, because that would have all come out. Everything would have been coming out during the trial, but they didn't want it to. And I will tell you this, all the evidence that we have points that Richard is the Walmart mass shooting whistleblower. And so please share that information, share all the information that I put up on Facebook. And I'm just so, so grateful for that. And I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye bye.